Do you require any graphic design work done? A North London agency full of Gooners. Oh, and one lonely Watford fan. We'll be happy to help. Go to www.stonecreativedesign.com and mention Gooner Ramble for a 10% discount on your first project.
Hello and welcome to a Gooner Ramble podcast. I'm James. Joining us today we have Akhil. Akhil, how you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. After yesterday, very well.
Good. And we've also got Mark joining us as well. Mark, how you doing, mate?
Alright, JJ, no worries, man.
Good. Well, you guys, I was assuming you both were there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Met up pre-game as well.
We did indeed for a very
Weird.
posh beer by West Ham standards. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What was it?
Some like craft beer place where they brew it themselves in a disused warehouse in Hackney Wick.
Was it an old B&Q or something?
I don't know.
It was weird. Like the entrance, you would have missed it if you weren't looking for it. It looks like you were literally going into a warehouse, and then there's just barrels everywhere. And it was quite nice inside, but they didn't do pints, by the way, which a lot of people were very upset about. They only did 2/3, and a lot of people.
You had to pay a £1 for your glass, which obviously you got back when you gave them the plastic glass back. You got your £1 back, but other than that, you had to pay £1 for the glass.
But by the way, that was very clever, wasn't it? Because a lot of people obviously thought, shit, we have to leave now, and actually looked at the queue and thought, I can't be bothered. So they must have got at least 50, 60 quid
I made £267 just going.
I thought you disappeared at half time, actually.
That's it.
Very, very, very good. Very good. And then you got to hit the shops afterwards for the sales, right?
No.
I went out.
No worries. Well, back onto the football. The lineup yesterday, first time in a long time, I went onto my Twitter and the general consensus was, I like this. And that was my exact thoughts when I saw it as well. What about you guys?
Does that include Was or?
I didn't actually check Was's.
I think he had just landed.
Yes.
He didn't have time to tweet. So.
Wenger felt it was safe to not pick Ramsey while Was in
He got
there.
the clearance, he was still on the plane.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, about it. Actually, in fact, me, Mark, and obviously Giles, we were sort of in the same place and things. And we kind of, when we looked at the team, we actually thought, it's pretty good. It's probably about as strong as we can make it. You know, I thought Coquelin and Xhaka was one that I'm quite intrigued by. One's a bit of a passer, one's a presser. I think at right as well. I think, we all knew Carl Jenkinson was probably not going to play. So, yeah, Gabriel was the obvious choice. And I thought it was good to see Oxlade-Chamberlain sort of get a go as well. And I think he's, it'll be good if him and Iwobi can share the burden, because we end of last season, start of this season, it was all Iwobi, which is fine. But when he, starts to look a bit jaded, when he has performances that he just likes to dip, it's good to have the Ox. And I think now, hopefully the Ox is ready to step up as well. So yeah, I think we were all generally happy, right, Mark?
Yeah, I think, given the fact that we're missing a few players, that was probably the team that picked itself. I mean, the only question was Jenkinson or Gabriel, but I think after what I heard of the Southampton game, I think Jenkinson wasn't going to get that call. And then it was really it's just that midfield bit where it's kind of like, is it Ramsey, is it El Neni, is it Xhaka, is it Coquelin? And I'm pleased to see him play Coquelin and Xhaka yesterday in that game. I mean, obviously, ideally, I'd still go with Xhaka and Cthulha, but given Cthulha's gone, I think that was the best pair we could stick in the middle there.
Just quick as well, where you guys, you said you're all sat together, are you in the upper bit or the lower bit of the away?
I was in row 7 from the front downstairs.
Yeah, so we weren't sat together. We just had a few drinks.
Oh, I see.
But I was row 61, and we kind of, it's a new ground, so we all left the pub relatively early, just not knowing what the queues are going to be like and what the walk's like a little bit. It was all a bit unknown. We went in, it was a little bit of a weird walk, because I guess a lot of people come from Stratford, whereas we came from sort of the other side, so it was a little bit quieter. As we got closer, it felt a bit like Wembley. It felt a little bit of it didn't feel like that sort of competitive atmosphere, for me. And then we got in, and then the concourse as well is huge, which kind of, in the concourse before away games, you normally have a right party. There's normally chants, there's lots of beer, there's it's a good laugh usually. But here it was very disjointed. You had groups in different corners trying to sort of chant, but then couldn't hear the other groups, so were chanting things differently, and it was all a little bit weird. It was a bit of a weird, just disjointed atmosphere. And then when we got in, so I went up to sort of row 61 and saw many people struggling to get up there, because it was a bloody long walk. And this was about half an hour before, so it was quite empty in terms of the West Ham fans weren't really in. And yeah, it was just it was a strange atmosphere, because even there, 10 minutes before kickoff, you normally get the away end really start to sing, but it was just a little bit, I don't know what it was about it, but the whole atmosphere affected us a little bit as well. Certainly in the first sort of 10 minutes of the game, 15 minutes, where we weren't maybe as vocal, or we were a bit disjointed. I think that's the word to use, because, there was chants in the upper tier, but the lower tier was maybe singing something else because they couldn't really hear. It was just all a bit weird. But, we got the 3 points, so...
No, I just saw a photo that someone posted from the upper bit, and it just looked like Football Manager dots. Like, I just felt really bad that they paid money for a seat. It just looked like a joke.
I mean, in the warm-up, I'll tell you what, I couldn't tell who was who. I honestly, and I thought, bloody hell, I'm going to struggle with it. It was just, it was actually the way players run. That was kind of the way I could tell. Like, when it's Alexis, because he just has this, distinct kind of run. When it's someone like Ozil as well, even though it took me a little while, actually, when it was Ozil, or was that Xhaka, because they're both left-footed. It was tough, but hey, it is what it is.
Yeah. And you talk about running. Starting the game, I thought we were doing extremely well with the running. I mean, especially Monreal down their right-hand side. He got to the byline, I think I counted about 4 times before we eventually did break the deadlock. And we were quite unfortunate. I think Sanchez just stuck his foot out a bit too late for one. And then I think there was another one afterwards. But the first concrete chance of the game come for West Ham, who I thought Fletcher's hold-up play to start with was absolutely incredible for a young kid. I thought he was doing brilliantly for them up there, and then he played through Lanzini, and Shep got the save away. Were you guys ever worried about West Ham really to start with?
I wouldn't say so. No, they just didn't really look on the game at all. You can see that they're struggling playing inside that stadium, and I kind of had the suspicion that this would happen to them, because West Ham used to win a lot of games, generally big games, because of the fact that their stadium was so tight and their atmosphere was really, really good once they got it going. I think they're fucked. I think they are in really serious trouble in that stadium, because they've got the same issues that most clubs have had when they've moved to a new ground. Now, luckily, we were a big enough club that we could get away with it. But you look at a lot of other clubs who've built new stadiums and they've gone down fairly soon after building them. Even going back as far as Derby when they moved to Pride Park, I remember, they struggled with that. So I think they've got a big problem. So I don't know. They just didn't look at all comfortable. I think even Arsene said in his post-match game that they didn't look comfortable and they don't look confident. I mean, obviously they've got a lot of injuries, missing a lot of players. I was impressed with the guy as well. Was that the lad that they got off for United?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought, he did well. He's a kid and he's a big lad, and he did okay because he was basically on his own. And yeah, they did make that early chance, but no, I didn't really ever think that they looked like they were going to cause us that much of a problem. I think it was, as you said, when you watched us get down that left-hand side 4 or 5 times, you're thinking, look, come on, guys, you've got to make the best of these chances. And the cutbacks just didn't seem to be going quite right. You just started to think, is it going to be one of those stupid days where we got all the play, but we don't make it count?
Akhil?
Yeah, I mean, I go along with that. It took me probably 10 minutes to work out who the hell was who on that our left-hand side, because you kind of, I noticed Monreal went through a few times, but at times I thought it was Monreal, but it was actually Chamberlain, and then, they look very different as well, so it gives you an insight on how far we were. But yeah, it actually reminded me of last Sunday against Bournemouth, where, again, our left-hand side was strong, and Oxlade-Chamberlain and Monreal really sort of, in the first 10 minutes went after them. And I mean, last week, Bournemouth had 2 bookings. Their right back was booked. Their centre-back, who plays on the right, was booked as well. So you thought, this is, and we kind of didn't really utilise it more. We didn't go at them much last week, whereas I thought this week we kind of maybe learnt from it a little bit, and we saw that there was a weakness there, and we kind of kept kind of going a little bit. So yeah, it was one of those where you just thought, please just score early, because this Arsenal team, when we score early, we know we can kind of go on a bit of a charge. So yeah, it was one of those where you thought, yeah, as long as we score but we keep playing like this, we should do well here. And as Mark says, West Ham weren't really. There was nothing really in the game for them. Like at the time, there wasn't. I think there was one chance when they went through, and like Laurent Koscielny done quite well, and then there was that other sort of Petr Cech save. But generally, it was quite comfortable. So yeah, it was all about just making sure we score. And it was, I think, in everyone's back of their mind, we knew Andy Carroll was going to play 20 minutes, so we did not want it to be kind of 0-0 or even 1-0 up when Andy Carroll came on. So yeah, I mean, when we got the first goal, I think it was fairly comfortable-ish.
And what an easy goal it was. I mean, I can't remember the player who received the goal kick and tried to drag it out, and then Sanchez took him down. I know, obviously, Winston Reid was absolutely dreadful. I think he should have been hounded more than he did get hounded on. Rio Ferdinand tore him a new one. I don't know if you guys recorded it and watched it back, but Rio Ferdinand cussed him something wicked. And it's Ozil's easiest chance you've ever seen in your life. Yeah. So
even the actual pass, it wasn't much of a pass on, and the one Coquelin blocked. For Sanchez to then chase it down. So I think that's what Coquelin gives you as well. I mean, I don't think sort of El Neni or even Santi would have been in that sort of position, because he wants to win the ball high up, and that was an example of it. And it's great sometimes when it works. Obviously, in some games perhaps it's not suited, but here it definitely works.
Just on Coquelin as well, after he got his booking, which I thought was a completely stupid decision from himself, I thought his discipline and everything was brilliant after that. He could have easily have gone the other way and got sent off, but I thought after his booking he was superb with his timing. I thought he was absolutely brilliant yesterday.
Yeah, he had a really, really good game. As Alexis just said, that's what Coquelin will give you, that mobility, the movement, the trying to nick a ball, the making the tackles, that you won't necessarily get off El Neni, because he plays a different game, and you won't get that off Santi. So it's kind of weird, because we've got midfielders who all kind of have a real talent for sort of a certain part of the game, and what you'd like to do is just sort of mould them all into one, and you'd have the perfect midfielder, to be fair. So a little bit of a shame, but no, he did do well. I mean, it's a pathetic booking, but at least it seemed like he learned the lesson from White Hart Lane last year.
I was just going to say, actually, since White Hart Lane, I have noticed a change in him. I have noticed he is a lot more mature, a lot more sort of, sensible, and he has, since then, he's got plenty of yellows, but he has always controlled himself and seems to just, he's learnt from it, and I think that's really refreshing, and I think he kind of sees himself as a senior player now as well, so he looks to take responsibility, and I think that's great.
I got a question for you yesterday from Gunner Down Under, so I thought I'd chuck it in here. He said, do you guys think Coquelin's got better since the competition, such as El Neni and Xhaka's come in? I seem to agree with him there. I think he has. I think he was already good to begin with, but I think he's really, like you said, after the Spurs game as well, he's come on leaps and bounds, I think.
Yeah, I mean that's why you need competition, because you need people to be kept on their toes. For a long time, Coquelin was the only player we had who could do what he does. But, once El Neni came in and certainly once Xhaka came in, I think, he's had to have a look and think, well, actually, I'm going to have to fight for my place here. And there's only really 2 spots in that system the way we play at the moment. And there's 4 or 5 players vying for those 2 spots. So I've got to be on the top of my game. And hopefully that's what you need, because if a player can't be asked, then he won't be performing at the level and he won't get picked. And maybe sometimes modern footballers are not going to be too bothered about it because they're still picking up their money. But, I would have always thought Coquelin was the sort of lad that would actually make the effort to make sure he was playing.
Akhil?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think we've always, as fans, wanted competition in every position. And I think most would agree that we're probably as close to it at the moment as we have been in sort of the last 10 years. So I think competition brings, it's not just in football, in general sort of life, we all in our workplaces sometimes need a bit of a kick up the backside. It might not be competition because you might not have 2 people doing the same job, but you always need that kick up the backside. And I think in football, competition is that kick up the backside that if you're not performing, there's others that will take your place, and I think that will always help.
Agreed. Was there anything else in the first half you guys want to touch on? I can't really think of anything of note other than we had a few opportunities, but we just didn't tuck them in.
Yeah, I think we've covered it.
And going into the second half, it was only 1-0. Could have been about 10 on the chances that we counted. Were you guys worried going into the second half at all, or Mark? Did you definitely like have that epiphany of they're fucked? In the nicest possible way.
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought, we could see the game out, but unfortunately, we have seen from time to time that we can take our foot off the pedal a little bit, and I started to slightly get a little bit worried because, obviously you would assume that Bilic is going to tear them out a new one at half time and they're going to come out and have a go. That's what you expect when you're the away team. So, but it kind of went on a little bit longer than I wanted, and I thought we needed to just kind of get the second goal. To really sort of try and kill it off, even from an Arsenal point of view, 2 is maybe not enough, but just wanted that extra goal, and I think we just waited a bit too long to get it, but eventually it came.
And it was that little man Sanchez. He got 3 great goals yesterday, but we'll talk through them. What a player! I'm running out of even words to say. The touch and the finish was absolutely incredible. He was, in the Olympic Stadium, he ran like an athlete there. I think was it Fernandez? He just sort of brushed him off like he wasn't even there. And this guy's massive. He looked absolutely huge on the telly. I don't know what he was like in person.
It was a touch as well. I mean, that came from Mustafi, so it came from a centre half into him. And not only was his first touch great, he was on the half turn straight away. He was past the man. Then he had to shrug him off anyway because as you said, he's a big lad. And then there was that little bit where he looked like he was going to shoot it, but then he took one more touch just to get a little bit wider to get away from the man to give him a bit of space. And then the angle was tight, and it was a great finish. It was probably my favourite goal from his 3, actually.
It's the angle and the power, isn't it? That's
absolutely.
You really, really appreciate goals like that. I love it when you just smash them. I loved it.
Yeah. I think I'm not sure anyone else in our team that could have sort of. Maybe someone like Walcott could have scored from that angle because he's done it, but he wouldn't have got into that probably position potentially. So it was a special goal.
And Mark?
Yeah, no, I agree completely. As I say, I was row 7, so he was right in front of us. And the time when he took, as Akhil said, when he took that extra touch, I'm then thinking, right, he's a little bit too wide now to beat the keeper. The keeper should have. Obviously, he's going to be worried about his near post, but it's going to be tight to get that in the corner. But he just banged it low, hard in the corner. No chance for Randolph, to be honest. Who had a decent game for them, to be fair.
Yeah, like I said, he did save it from being about 10. He was some of the saves he made. Again, we're churning it out, making some moves, and then the second one, it bobbles up for him. I think it was Xhaka. It sort of like deflected sort of pass off and was in the air. He come down, he smashed that. Some people said Randolph should have done better. I think he knew where he wanted to place that as soon as he saw it in the air, really.
Yeah, I'd agree, definitely. The great thing about that is that Alexis has seen the ball spinning up and has allowed it to come across him And, and it's not easy for a keeper because the keeper's not maybe expecting him to take a shot from there. He's got a couple of bodies in the way. And Alexis knows, right, I'm going back the other way the ball's come from, put it in that corner. I think that was, I don't think Randolph had a great deal of chance with that and could do much. I thought he just took it really, really well.
Akhil?
Yeah, it was a great finish. I mean, he hit it in the one place where probably the keeper couldn't have got there, so he knew what he was doing.
And then Andy Carroll obviously comes on, and someone put on Twitter that they think that Andy Carroll now got the injection of the curse of Drogba into him, and the old Geordie Pegasus, as they like to call him. When that free kick was given and Payet stepped over it, myself, I thought that Cech was maybe a bit too to one side. I think it was his left that he left open. Part of the alliteration there, but I thought he left it a bit too blank, and then obviously the free kick coming, it come off the bar, and it's like Andy Carroll does that in his sleep, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, it was. What was interesting about that was at 3-0, a lot of the West Ham fans started to go. So yeah. I would predict a lot of Arsenal fans who were sitting sort of on the two ends near the home fans would have missed that goal because they were too busy kind of waving and saying cheerio and just all that sort of football banter with the home fans because they were leaving. They were. I think I posted.
Yeah, they're in their droves.
Yeah, I posted a picture and you could see all the whites and the white chairs. And then they kind of scored, and then a few of them might have even sort of come back, but then were sent back again about 3 minutes later when Chamberlain scored. So I mean, the goals, it happened. It was end of the day. It didn't sort of impact us too badly. So no harm done. I think it would have been maybe if you're going to be critical. Andy Carroll was the first to react, whereas we maybe didn't react there. But
there was two or three West Ham players reacting before our lot. I looked at it and I just thought Cech seemed to have just given that up.
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah,
I mean, all right, you know what it is with Payet takes an excellent free kick, and most keepers are not going to get anywhere near it normally. But I just sort of looked at it and thought he just looks very, very casual there, and I wasn't too sure whether he could have done much more with it. But then it comes out, and I thought Carroll did well for a big man. He had to stoop down and make sure he nodded it in. So I thought he did all right.
Well, Ox, Akhil, you just mentioned the Ox's goal. Oxlade-Chamberlain's on the podcast. Everybody, say hello.
If only I was an impressionist there, that would have been great. I'm not.
No. What a performance, as well as just a goal yesterday. This is going to be his favourite feature on the show, but I thought it was absolutely incredible yesterday. I thought it was the best game I've seen him have in a long, long time.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was the most impact he certainly had in a long, long time. I thought first half he was doing everything right apart from the final ball, and some of the final balls were either slightly overhit, slightly underhit. There was one shot which actually went for a throw, which was was kind of it kind of ran away from him. He had the right idea, far corner, but it didn't quite happen for him there.
Far corner of the pitch.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. But what I liked about him was the way he drove the ball forward. And often we, from sort of midfield or when you kind of get the ball maybe just outside your area after an attack and you're kind of trying to transit kind of thing from defence into attack. Without that Santis passing into Ozil, you lack something there. So you sort of need that guy who can just take it forward a little bit, cover some ground, go past a player or two, and then just kind of drive it. And I thought Oxlade-Chamberlain did that really well. Even though he was playing wide, he was coming in a lot, and I thought that worked really well. And then in the second half, he obviously then started to kind of get a little bit more confident. Obviously maybe at half time he had some words just saying that, you're doing well, keep going sort of thing. And he seemed like he was more confident. And then obviously the goal was a great finish. I mean, that, even though I was in row 61, that was probably the goal I had the best view on, because as soon as he hit it, I said that's in, because you could tell the keeper wasn't getting there and you could tell that was bending in. And it was just a great finish. And it was at a time where, at 3-1 as well, if it had sort of gone on and West Ham had a few more attacks, what we're like. So it kind of it certainly killed the game if the game wasn't killed already. But yeah, generally his performance was, I thought it was very, very promising. I think, the potential he undoubtedly has, hopefully will start to come out there. I think if he can just work on his final ball a little bit more, get a little bit more consistency, then he can be a really good player. But I think, that yesterday was certainly the most impact he's had, and I think that will give him so much more confidence. And I think, even though Iwobi's had a great start to his career, he'll probably struggle to get back in for the next few games, because I think Oxlade-Chamberlain deserves a run now. So I think it's very, when he has sort of played well, and I think of a couple of years ago when he scored twice against Palace, and then I think he scored the week before that. He was slightly getting a run, but then he was taken out for whatever reason. It could have been injury, but and it was just, you felt that broke the momentum. So hopefully here he'll just get a few more games, and he'll just keep going, kind of thing. But obviously there will be rotation with the Basel game and stuff like that. But you just hope he gets that run where he can just keep going.
That was going to be my next question. Anyway, was that, I think Iwobi sort of tailed off just a small bit, and now Oxlade-Chamberlain's coming in, he's taken his chance very well. I'll go to you, Mark, with it. Do you think, like Akhil said, Ox now, this is his position now for now?
I'd say so for now. I think the thing with Ox, and I've said this for years, is the boy it really, really is a confidence player. You can watch him during a game, and you can see when things don't go right for him, he lets his head drop, and he looks like he's being very, very self-critical about what's happened. So if he keeps playing well, he's got everything. He's a powerful lad. He's got a decent engine. He's got plenty of running. He's got a decent shot on him. He can be a great player for us, but he has to put that together. He has to stay fit, because that's been a big problem for him, and he's got to put a run of form together. If he does, I don't think Iwobi will get back in front of him apart from rotation. Because I think, Iwobi is showing signs of being a young man who's come into the team, and he's just 20 years old and he's playing for the Arsenal. It's a big responsibility on his shoulders. And don't get me wrong, unlike I think Iwobi will be a really, really good player. Reminds me so much of Rocastle in a lot of ways, but he has lost his way. I still can't understand the PSG goal. I keep thinking about it and trying to figure out what he was doing, but give him that one, I guess. So I think Ox can do really, really well if he can keep this form going and keep his confidence up.
And
then, what I like just generally about things sort of right now in this season is we seem like we're rotating a lot better, and that's been a bit of a criticism of Arsene Wenger in the past, that we maybe haven't rotated as well. When now we've got the fact that, okay, even with Santi out, you've still got options there. El Neni played, in the week, and he also started against Bournemouth. You had Xhaka start here. You've had Coquelin start, whenever. And I think that's the good thing. We've got options, and I think we're rotating quite well. And again, with the Ox, with Iwobi, he is feeling it a little bit. As Mark says, he's a young lad. It's a lot of pressure playing for a club like Arsenal. And I think the good thing is he has been rotated a little bit. He's played in the cup games where arguably there's a little bit less pressure because that competition isn't our priority. I know obviously the PSG thing was a little bit different, but he's played in 2 rounds there, and he's missed the league game either side. So he kind of I think we're rotating a little bit better at the moment. Maybe Alexis and Ozil aside, because they're just, they're not special players. But generally, Kieran Gibbs has come in every so often. So it just seems like we've got a squad now where we can rotate, and I think that's going to be key. And I think if we do that, or if Arsene Wenger does that well, then Oxlade-Chamberlain can continue his form. Theo Walcott can continue his goal-scoring form. The midfield will stay fresh. And I just think that's the key to keeping our players not only fit, but also sort of fit and firing sort of thing, on form.
Well, you talk about rotation. A big rotation yesterday obviously was Gabriel at right back. Were you impressed with him yesterday? I thought he did very well.
Yeah. You know what? I have to say, when Debussy went off injured in the home game and Gabriel came on, I was expecting Gabriel to slot into the middle and Mustafi to come and play right back.
Yeah, a lot worse.
Because I believe Mustafi has a little bit more experience playing right back than Gabriel has, although I could be wrong on that. So I was quite surprised that they left it at that, because I wouldn't have thought that Gabriel was more suited to a fullback position than Mustafi was. But you know what? He's come in and he's done okay. He's been solid. He obviously he'll do well aerially in that position. And we all know that sometimes that diagonal ball out to the fullbacks is one that people like to try on us. I was impressed. I thought he did well yesterday. Just before, I think, one of the goals, he chased the ball down the right hand side and he put in a proper centre half's cross, which nearly went out for a throw, but it went back in for the goal. But no, he did well. I mean, the one thing you'll get from the guy is his passion and full-bloodedness. And also, we've got to remember that this has been a pretty traumatic week for the fella. So for him to keep his head on his football and to play the way he has, is a big credit to him.
Yeah, I mean, they chucked Payet out there, didn't they? And you thought, that I think they got the impression of Payet's just going to rinse him, and he didn't really do anything of note until his free kick, really.
It actually helped Gabriel. Payet played there, actually, because Payet obviously comes on to his right and does a lot of his best thing cutting in. So actually, it kind of suited Gabriel, because then he was getting sort of drifting back into the centre where he's quite familiar. Whereas I think if they had someone going the other side and getting crosses in, potentially that could have been something that could have hurt us a little bit potentially. But I thought he was solid. I think, as Mark says, it's been a tough week for him. I think maybe football's been his distraction a little bit as well. I think maybe he's had something else to focus on. Yeah. So I think it was probably a clever decision to play him as well, because Arsene Wenger and the club knew that he needs something to focus on. Otherwise, it is going to be a bit of a struggle if he has to come on. So apart from probably the first half against Bournemouth when Debussy went off, which I don't think was Gabriel's fault, by the way, but it seemed like it took us a while to kind of react and start playing. But there was no problem there. I thought he was solid, and as you say, in that aerial, he gives us something, and that's something positive for the rest of the season. If there are games where Bellerin gets targeted, you've got an option of putting Gabriel out there, who's got this experience now from these last couple of games, and he can header the ball and he can kind of, just give you a bit more defensive protection. So I think that's a great option to have, and that's another sort of potential rotation option as well.
And then obviously the last goal, Sanchez, he just takes the piss, doesn't he? It's brilliant. He sits the keeper on his arse, and
it was offside as well.
So it was to begin with. Yeah. And then you see that ball boy's face, and it's just a face of he wishes that he went with the others, I think, and left. If he weren't earning his pocket money or whatever, he just wanted to go home. It was funny. I know it's sad. It was sad because it's a kick, but it was.
Yeah. If he was the one who got Sanchez's shirt, though, he's.
Oh, maybe it was a good day then.
Exactly.
Yeah. But no, what a brilliant goal, and just what a brilliant man.
This is, to me, I tell you what, I'll let Akhil praise Alexis. Yeah. All I want to say is, we need to be really, really careful with this guy, because he is, if we are going to win the league this year, it will have to be with Alexis playing as much as he can, and we cannot afford to lose him, because I think if we lose him, it will damage the team, I think, mentally, in terms of confidence, because we do not have another player like him. I mean, on Match of the Day, where they're discussing whether or not he's world class, a fucking pair of clowns they are. This man is a world class footballer. I mean, he goes off and he wins Cup of America virtually single handed. The bloke's had about 4 days off in the last 3 years. There's a quote today from Iwobi saying that sometimes in training, when Wenger stops and he's talking to the players, Alexis is down doing press ups. I mean, the guy is mental. You can look at him and you see when he gets subbed off, you can see in his head he just wants to play. This guy wants to play football all the time, but we have to manage him properly, because regardless of that, he is a human being. He is not the $6 million man, and his body will at some point cause an issue if we don't manage him properly. So we have to try and do that. That is vitally important. There is absolutely no way that Alexis should be going to Switzerland. No way at all. He should be at home playing with his dogs for a week. Yeah, thrilling everyone on Twitter with his guitar playing and his 2 dogs. Yeah, no, if he goes on that plane, oh my God.
Yeah,
Akhil?
no, I mean, I'll praise him in a second, but I mean, I totally agree. I think Alexis Sanchez is vital to the way we play now, and it was actually during the game when I mean, Giles took my spare, so he was next to me, and we were talking about how the system sort of changed now to suit Alexis, and I mean, ironically, the last time we could think of a system changing to suit a player was Cesc Fabregas. But here it just seems like we've got a system now in place that suits Alexis Sanchez, and also sort of Mesut Ozil. It's obviously brought the goals out of him, and I think it was his first assist yesterday as well, Mesut's. But our game is built around Alexis. So you lose Alexis, suddenly you have to change your whole game. And it's fine for 10 minutes at Old Trafford when you need something different. It's absolutely fine. And that's, again, a great option to have. And it's brilliant. But Alexis Sanchez is key to this team. And I think, as Mark says, if Arsenal were to win the league or even get close and really compete, till the sort of second last game, then Alexis will be massive in that. So I think, we need to be clever about him. I think it's similar to, the Van Persie's last season where we knew that without Robin Van Persie, we would struggle, and it was about keeping him fit. And it's similar. It's about keeping Alexis fit. And to draw on the positives there, Robin Van Persie was very injury prone in his time here. Alexis Sanchez is a little bit different. He's a lot tougher. He's, he recovers from hamstring injuries very quickly, as we've seen in the last few weeks. But we do have to look after him, and I agree. I mean, despite flying out to Basel tomorrow, I would be more than happy if I'm out there in -1 watching Arsenal when Alexis and even Mesut are back at home, doing whatever they are, but just at home, not doing anything, and just kind of, having a breather sort of thing. And I think, the FA Cup's probably another cup where you might not see Alexis. I mean, he would want to play, I'm sure, but this is why Arsene Wenger gets paid the big dollars, because he has to be the boss here. He has to make Alexis understand why he's not going to play in certain games, because he's so important. It's going to be interesting, especially sort of the Christmas period where games come thick and fast. You expect him to play against Stoke and Everton and then Man City, so that's 3, and then we've got the 2 games over Christmas, which, West Brom and Palace. So it's that's where it's going to be a bit interesting. And even, there's going to be times where he may start games, but if the game's won, if we're 3-0 up after 60 minutes, then get him off, give him a breather. Last year, funny enough, Arsene Wenger hinted at moving him from the left to the centre. And for Alexis, that's a rest, because he's now not covering the sort of, helping his fullback out. But you've seen it this season where even playing centrally, the pressing leads from him, and that's a really tough task, and he's going to take kicks, he's going to take blows, because that's that sort of position. So absolutely key to kind of keep him fit. But I mean, just generally, what a player he is. I mean, what a player. I mean, those guys. I mean, that
best we've had since Henry.
Oh, I mean, if you take the sort of bias stuff out, Robin Van Persie was obviously a class act as well. But he certainly gives you something different. He's certainly up there, isn't he? He's
I just think it's his unselfishness as well.
So
underrated.
The first goal, he was very unselfish, and he's a winner, isn't he? And that's the greatest thing. He's an absolute winner.
He is.
He hates it. He hates it when he gives the ball away, let alone gives a goal away.
Exactly. But the one I'll tell you one good thing I like about Alexis, and this is probably going back to JJ mentioning Henry, is if someone plays a ball to Alexis, and they overhit it and it goes out or whatever, he'll applaud the pass. He won't turn around and give them daggers. He always applauds an attempt at a pass to put him in or whatever, So the guy, I look at him and I think that's the sort of fella you want to play with. He never stops running. He never gives up. He's always willing to have the ball, and and he doesn't seem like he disrupts the team by giving you daggers like maybe Henry used to do to players, and maybe Wright used to give Kevin Campbell a little bit of a hard time. But so I love that about his game as well. But the man's a machine. I've not seen a player be able to run like that in an Arsenal shirt since Brian Talbot. That man could run all day. But Alexis, I think, is taking it to another level.
I was going to say, Mark, you used to be a centre half, right, when you played?
Yes, towards the end, mate. Obviously.
Yeah. What would you do with him? Because he is literally like if X-Men was a footballer. he's just all over him, isn't he?
He's horrible. He's the sort of player that you just wouldn't. You know, we were talking yesterday to some of us about Mine Keown and how he used to love playing against Alan Shearer because that was the sort of forward he liked, but he struggled against Robbie Fowler. You know, because Robbie Fowler was the sort of player that you don't want to play against. He's all about movement, quickness, you know, and being able to take chances like that. And Alexis is an absolute nightmare. You would hate to be playing against him. I would just try and kick him as much as I could.
I was actually going to say you just kick him because he's so busy, and that's the thing. He never lets you rest. He'll come deep. He'll go wide. He wants the ball. He's always busy. You know, if he doesn't get the ball for a few minutes, he doesn't just hang around and wait and hope it comes. He'll go get it. And sometimes that's a negative because sometimes you do need a bit of a presence up there. You do need someone to, when you do get the ball, you need someone. But I think he's learning to kind of adapt his game a little bit, and he's learning when to drop deep and when to go wide. And I think that's obviously, you know, that's great for us. It's great for him. It's great for the team. So yeah, that's I don't think anyone. I mean, Alexis. I mean, funny enough, yesterday as well, something I noticed was, you know, the Mesut Ozil kind of chant is probably our most sung chant. But yesterday there was certainly as soon as people chanted the Ozil, there was a bit of Alexis in there as well. And you know what that reminded me of? That reminded me of Highbury, 2006 final game. Not sure how long you hung around for, Mark, but I was there till very, very until the stewards told me to leave, basically.
Yeah.
And Thierry and Ashley Cole were sitting there,
in
you
the
know,
middle, yeah.
Yeah, and Thierry Henry 4 more years. He gave us a clap, and then that was it really. And it later came out that Ashley Cole in his book wrote that day was the day he realised that, you know, he felt he wasn't as loved as other players, despite being sort of a schoolboy for Arsenal and stuff like that, because he didn't get nothing. And I don't know. I'm not sure people were thinking about that consciously yesterday, but there was something in it where I just thought that, you know, it was good. We chanted Alexis's name, and we want them both to sign contracts. It's just a side point, and it was just something that got me thinking.
I think Alexis is people love Alexis because of the fact that, you know, what is somebody said something the other day about it's old school, you old school types like players who run around a lot, which, you know, I took exception to, but I kind of understand what the guy said. You know, you can get away with a lot with the supporters by putting effort in, you know. I mean, there's other things as well, you know, like being sort of homegrown or a fan as a kid and that. But you know, if you are putting in 100% effort, people will always cut you more slack than people that are not. And Alexis puts in more than 100%. He's phenomenal player. I love the guy. Love him.
You know, you say about chanting though. I think he knows that he's the man there. You know, he was at Barcelona, and even though he was still scoring screamers like he scores now and putting in performances, he never was allowed to be the man. And I think he knows he's the man at this club, which is why I'm quite confident, even with 18 months left, I definitely think, because I think he'll look at it and go, well, where else could I go? There's always those rumours about going back to Italy, but is that a league he really wants to play in? It's not really.
I think him and Ozil kind of both share it, and it seems like they're quite happy to do that. They both know they're the men, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Whereas at Madrid, at Barca, respectively, they know that it wasn't shared with Messi or Ronaldo. It was all about Messi and Ronaldo. You know, even at the moment, I mean, Luis Suarez is trying his absolute hardest to share it with Messi, but it's still about Messi. And I think here it's kind of there's that they both share it, and you know, there was that great picture after the goal of them both kind of with their arms around each other, and a lot of people tweeted the Bergkamp Henry like pictures, and that was great. You know, I think there's a genuine admiration for each other there, and when you have that, there's no jealousy, there's no conflict there. I think they're both just happy for each other. They both want to win, and I think it's a good thing. And just talking about sort of Alexis Sanchez as well, I've kind of been just thinking back about the summer a little bit, and our bid for Jamie Vardy, and obviously there was a lot of kind of a lot of noise around why Jamie Vardy didn't become an Arsenal player, and it seemed like it seemed like the deal was pretty much done. We had a verbal agreement, and then Vardy was kind of meant to let us know and didn't, and all that sort of stuff. Went to England, went to play for England, and it kind of the rest is history. But also, probably a couple of months later, or a month later, there was kind of rumours about, from someone that it kind of Vardy wasn't really guaranteed a starting spot, and that was obviously it was a little bit strange for Arsenal fans to accept there, because you thought, well, at the start of the summer we knew we needed a striker, probably a first choice striker, so actually, of course, he would have been part of the starting lineup, and that gave ammunition to people like Piers Morgan and that kind of person to kind of say, it sums it up, Vardy rejects Arsenal. But I think there's actually more into that, because the more we've seen Alexis play up front, and the more that's come out of the club, you've kind of seen that the sort of the end of last season was actually quite big for Arsenal. And I say that because Theo Walcott had this big conversation with Arsene Wenger, and they both decided that actually, let's focus, you're going to be a right winger, I'm going to be a right winger, I don't think I'm a striker, all that sort of stuff. He's got 9 league goals, he's aiming for 10 before Christmas, so that's a success story. Here again, I think Arsene Wenger and the club decided early that Alexis Sanchez is going to be their striker next season, and that's why we didn't really go full throttle for that sort of big striker. And I think, maybe that is why Vardy wasn't guaranteed starts, because actually he was just going to do the Lucas Perez role, but maybe play a little bit more because he's obviously settled in England, he knows the league and all that sort of stuff. But actually, it was always the Alexis was always going to be that number one, and we kind of, obviously a few years ago we went for Suarez, we didn't get him because that stupid bid. But maybe Alexis was the closest we could get to Suarez. And then I link it to when Brendan Rodgers was on Goals on Sunday. I can't remember when it was, maybe in the last season. And he was talking about Liverpool. And when Suarez went, they said that they had to identify someone that could play the same way. And Alexis was the only one they actually identified. And they lost out to him. And that kind of tells you a little bit more that actually, maybe, it took us 2 years to get there. But actually, having Alexis up front as our Luis Suarez, actually, this summer was the plan. I don't think it was the plan last summer or the summer before, but this summer, I think it was the plan. And then, it's funny how things worked out. I think I read a stat that Jamie Vardy hasn't had a shot on target in about 6 games or something ridiculous like that, whereas Alexis is scoring hat-tricks and goals. And it's just, it's something I was thinking about today. I'm writing a piece on it. I just thought I'd share it.
I think, they're all really good points, Akhil. The only thing I'd say is obviously I think we're well aware that in the past we've missed out on players because Wenger will never guarantee playing time. It's not something he does. It's historically he's never done that. So again, if Vardy didn't fancy that, I think a little bit of it is like Vardy was living the fairy tale, and then he had this season to come. What would Leicester do in the league? What would they do in the Champions League? And it seems like they've thrown all their eggs in the basket of the Champions League, and good luck to them from that point of view. And yeah, you're right. I mean, the reason I sort of thought that maybe we could have signed Vardy was based on his form last season, which was superb, and the fact that we'd seen Arsene Wenger give Alexis a chance at centre forward, and it hadn't worked, and Wenger seemed to have given up on it. So, you weren't expecting that then he was going to try and do it again. So you sort of thought, okay, well, maybe he's decided that's not Alexis's position, the same way that he's decided it's not Theo's position, and I'll stick with Theo on the right and I'll stick with Alexis on the left, and we need someone to give Giroud some competition. And maybe that was where he was looking at Vardy. But, for whatever reason, who knows? Vardy could have come and been a success. Vardy could have come and been a failure. As it stands, I think we're all quite happy with what we got at the moment, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is just me thinking deeply into it. Of course, it's an opinion. It's probably a good one. It's probably bollocks, to be fair. But, long live Alexis. Anyway.
Wrote a blog, mate. It's brilliant read, isn't it? It's great. Mark, I understand you've got the listeners' questions tonight.
Yeah, we didn't. Yeah, we
great,
didn't
great admin from myself.
No. I mean, there's a load of us, and none of us actually got round to sending out anything about there being a pod. So I just sent one out. Actually, we'd already started, so I've only got a few. So let me see. The first one here is from Paul Bassett. at PGBAFC, and he says that basically now that Santi is out for an extended period, do we all feel that Xhaka should be sort of first choice in one of those midfield positions from now on?
For me, yeah.
Go on, James. Go on.
I just think to myself, when you lose Santi Cazorla, you lose arguably next to Ozil the best distributor in that team, especially for that long-winded sort of pass from deep. Obviously, Jack Wilshere's gone, who used to do that a bit. You know, he said he wanted his game on Alonso and Pirlo, but I think Xhaka's the second best next to Cazorla at sort of that type of, I call it like Uzi type of passing. You know, he can spray short ones, you can spray that long one, and I just feel, personally for me, I know a lot of people want Aaron Ramsey back, and last week in the comments someone said that I accused Aaron Ramsey of hiding. I'll never accuse Aaron Ramsey of hiding, because the guy will run all game and he'll do something. It's just I feel he's hiding from a point of view of it's like the Aaron Ramsey of old, you know, the ones with the silly flicks and the confidence is a bit down. But I know for a fact the minute Aaron Ramsey scores one goal, and albeit if he gets into that team for Basel, he'll be fine. He just needs to get that one, and then he's cracking, he's on.
Yeah, I think Xhaka is a passer, isn't he? And in your midfield, I mean, I probably sound a bit like Clive, but you have your two components. You have your sort of your tackler, your reading of play, your guy who's getting possession, who can play the simple ball, and then alongside him you have someone that can sort of turn defence into attack and stuff. And I think Xhaka is that. I mean, the only concern I have is obviously he's only come this summer. He probably isn't used to a Christmas like you have in England. You have winter breaks in Europe. I just think that, there will be times where he'll need a rest as well. And obviously it sounds funny because he hasn't played as much as we would have thought, but there will be times. And I think Coquelin and El Neni, even though both of them are individually really good players, we do lack something when potentially we haven't got that passer in there. So I don't know. I don't know if Oxlade-Chamberlain can potentially do a job in there for, I don't know, a certain type of game, just because he's got that drive, as I mentioned earlier. But yeah, Xhaka certainly, I think, will be playing big games. He's got that bite, he's got that fight in there. So yeah, he's certainly going to be a big player. There's probably only one other person I can think of who can play there, and he's actually at Bournemouth.
Yeah,
yeah,
I thought
exactly.
that partnership yesterday was so good. It's not it's not on par with Petit and Vieira, but you know what I mean. Like Coquelin can trust him to sort of go forward and play it about, because Coquelin's like, I'll do this bit, mate. But Xhaka as well, he's like, if you want to get nasty, let's get nasty as well. I just like having both that dynamic of like one of, like you said, one of them could be your blocker and your other one's your presser and your passer.
Yeah.
I mean, they're kind of ready for a fight, aren't they? I mean, they'll fight for you, so that's what you want.
So then, just on that subject, an additional question came in, was from TT at Haas_AFC, and he said, do we think that Xhaka and Coquelin are the way forward on away days? So obviously we've got, after Basel and then Stoke, we've got two tough away games at Everton and City. So do we think that, as players stand at the moment, that we go with Xhaka and Coq as the two there?
Definitely for City for me.
Yeah, I would. I think they're the best two for an away game, to be honest. I agree
as well. Yeah. Because you've got to be under the cosh at times. You need that quick pass out, and yeah, I think so. Yeah,
good stuff. Right, a question here from Jono from the Eaglet. Jono's at Talking Out My Arse. He's a quality lad.
He sat behind me yesterday.
Exactly. Yeah, they're everywhere, that boy. He asks, who is the better footballer, Theo or Ox?
I'm happy to answer that. I think the better footballer is the Ox. I think the more effective footballer is Theo.
Brilliant answer, Akhil.
Yeah,
that's what I wanted to say, but I was going to say it more harshly.
Yeah, I think that's spot on, because to be honest, when you look at them both, you sort of, I'd be hard pressed to say which one was a better footballer, but yeah, I think, as you say, I think Theo just actually gives you that bit more. But then, if Ox has a few more years to get to the amount of development that Theo's had, maybe he'll prove to be a better footballer. But yeah, good answer that.
I had that whole, Theo's a better athlete, but obviously a better footballer type vibe. But I didn't know how to put it.
I just think, that what we've been talking about, Oxlade-Chamberlain driving from midfield, getting that ball, he can go past the play. He's got a trick. He can put in a great cross as well for Olivier Giroud. Maybe it is one cross in 7, but still. And so he is a very good footballer. But I just think at the moment Theo's more effective. I think Theo's got 9 goals. He's got probably 4 or 5 assists, maybe. I don't know that. It could be a bit less than that. But, he's got a little bit more of an end product there. But he's not one where, when you're under the cosh, you're not sure what Theo can really give you. So I think one's a better footballer, one's more effective at the moment.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Let me see. Next one. There's a couple of questions. Obviously, we're in December, so we're only 27 days away from another transfer window. So a couple of quick questions here. This one is from Janzeb Shaheen at Janzeb_Shaheen, who says, with Ox and Theo stepping up to some degree this season, should we be looking at going for Draxler?
What a question. I mean, yes. I mean, we talked about competition for Coquelin. I think if there's a player that can improve your squad, and this is something the club tell us, if there's a player that can improve your squad, improve your team, you kind of do it. So, yeah, if Draxler's available, which it seems like he could be, and we could reach a deal with, absolutely. It's great to have more players. It's great to have competition. If it means one of the other two eventually move on, then so be it. But I think it's great to have competition, because we will get injuries, we will get suspensions, we will get
as we've seen, already.
As we've seen, and Draxler can play kind of across the sort of front three as well. So potentially, if you're losing Alexis resting Alexis, then potentially Draxler could actually be an option up there. So yeah, I mean, no brainer. I think if a deal could be reached.
JJ.
I'm of that opinion where if a player like that comes available, you have to take your chance. And I know his own fans were booing him today because apparently he's definitely gone I want to leave either, if not in January, then defo in the summer. So I know he's been shown around before. He's seen the facilities. He's a player that we had a lot of concrete interest in when he was at Schalke. But I'm also of the opinion that we might take a look at the Premier League and look at some of the clubs that are down near the end. And I mean, there's loads of this Payet talk at the moment. And obviously, he played on the left for West Ham yesterday. And I think his attitude at the moment for West Ham stinks, and he just wants a new lease of life. And maybe he might be a cheaper option than what Draxler is. I think Draxler, you're looking at maybe 35 to 40, whereas Payet on a good day you could offer 25 to 30 mil. I know he's just signed a 4-year deal in the summer, but I think West Ham, they might have a new manager by then. They might be desperate, and he might be one of them where he's like, well, I don't want his attitude around here, so I'll get rid of him. I think it was the same with Ayew as well. Obviously, he's Payet's best friend. They had the fallout with Bilic. I think both of them are like, you know what, if this guy's still in, and we're going to fuck off because we don't want to be a part of this.
I'm not sure about Payet. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I don't see that there's Premier League clubs have got any reason to sell a player that they don't want to sell now that's under a good contract due to the TV money that came in this year.
Not sure. The fact of how his attitude is. I think get him out then if he don't want to be here.
Exactly. As you say, it all depends on what they consider more important at West Ham. Whether the manager's not actually going to be there longer term or whether they need to keep the players. But I don't know. I'm not convinced by Payet. I'm not sure. Draxler would cost a fair amount of money. If you think about it, I know what Akhil has said about him playing across the front three, but mainly you might look at him playing that De Bruyne inside-outside left role. And, if we've got a few players, Alexis could play out there with Giroud up top. Iwobi can go out there. Welbeck can go out there. Ox can go out there. So I don't know. I'm not too sure. I don't know.
He's definitely a stamping point if you want to make, obviously we've got those tough fixtures after Christmas. We come out of that relatively unscathed. Go into January and pull him out of the bag. That's definitely a marker of we want to win this league, which for me would be a great statement.
It was like that Reyes type signing, wasn't it? And it just gave you that bit of.
On that point, then, last question is from @YonkoAbs. And he says, do we need a boost in the January transfer window, or do we just need to concentrate on re-signing Mesut and Alexis?
I think in terms of a boost, re-signing those two players would be as big a boost as any new signing can actually bring you. Also, I'm going to go a little bit Arsene Wenger here, but Danny Welbeck is coming back, and I think he's a boost as well. I think I don't want to say he's like a new signing, but he can play on that left hand side where I think, we've talked about it today with Ox and Iwobi. It's a position still up for grabs a little bit. So I think Danny Welbeck can play there. And we talked about resting Sanchez again. Welbeck could potentially play up front and do that pressing game. And, Welbeck works his socks off as well. So I think re-signing the two, having Danny Welbeck back, hopefully getting Santi Cazorla back sort of end of Jan, Feb, that would be a big boost as well. But, as fans, we love signings. We talked about it in our WhatsApp group earlier about just that sort of thirst for signings. And I think they're great if they improve the team. But, Arsenal have never done it for the sake of it. And that's something I quite applaud.
It's that whole, thing, isn't it? Like I said, foresight's a wonderful thing. Hopefully, we come out of these fixtures unscathed. Bellerin coming back. If he doesn't, God knows how long Debuchy will be out for. Jenkinson, if he's, mind's all over the place like the reports are, and fair play to Wenger saying I'll take him out just to get him back or whatever. I personally think, in my heart of hearts, Carl Jenkinson's he's a lovely lad. I just don't think he's good enough. So I'd personally be looking at either another young sort of right back. I know Clive and me have spoke about Ola Anya that's at Chelsea. He's a young lad that's really good, or just someone else at right back to come in that can help if Bellerin does go down again. I
wonder if that's going to be Debuchy. 6 weeks, I know he's out, but I don't know, there was something about it in that first 10 minutes at Bournemouth where you thought, actually, maybe he has got a short-term future at least. I don't know, but it was just, he looked quite sharp, actually, for someone who hasn't played much, but I don't know.
I think unless we know the injury statuses and everything else, then I can't really see us going and spending big money. But if we did spend big money on Jackson, you won't complain, will you?
Right. Well, that was the last question. So thank you to everyone who sent a question in. Sorry we didn't ask from a bit earlier.
Yeah.
Good question.
My bad. I'll throw my hands up. Going into that Basel game, I know you guys earlier said if Sanchez will be on that play, he's definitely on. He's playing, isn't he? He's definitely gonna play. I just think it's one of them where you'll look at it and you'll go, Wenger will have in his head that maybe Ludogorets will do something, so he'll take all the players he can to get that 3 points.
I think, I can't remember what percent he gave it, but I think he said it's 90% sort of done. Wenger has traditionally rested players in that last kind of game. No, I don't know. I don't think he'll take Alexis, but Alexis is one of those who he'll probably just turn up and sit on the flight anyway, or book his own flight or something like that, because that's just what he's like. But no,
he'll go as a water carrier or something, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I think exactly he would, and I think Wenger's kind of resigned to being second now, and I think ultimately with this new Champions League kind of format, it doesn't make as much of a difference as it used to make. You can be top and still get Madrid or Bayern, or it's. Yeah, I if you were telling me that, give up chasing first place but rest your big players, I'll probably agree.
Mark?
Yeah, I agree. The thing is, I think going back to what Akhil said, I've been where Akhil is. So Akhil's going out there. I'm not going out there this time, but Akhil's going out there, and there's a lot of fans who are spending a lot of money to go out there. And you're sort of caught between a rock and a hard place, whereby you want them to be able to see a decent performance, and you want them to be able to see the team try and win the game, because that should be what we go out and try and do every single game. But it's that whole thing about rotation. There was all the conversations last week about the team that got put out in the League Cup. Slightly different because, we know we're through. We know the likelihood is that we're going to finish in second. So it doesn't really matter what happens. But, I do feel for the fans that are going out there, spending a lot of money and time off work, travelling out there. But I do sort of think that there are a few players. I would certainly like to think that Alexis, Ozil, and I'd like to see Koscielny get a rest as well. With maybe Mustafi and Gabriel at centre half and stick someone else in at right back. You could even play you could play Jenkinson. Give him another game at right back and let him play himself back into some sort of form. Because that it's more important that we're fit and ready for when Stoke rock up on Saturday.
Yeah. You could give Rob Holding a go alongside Mustafi.
You could do. Yeah, leave Gabriel at right back if you feel the way. Put Holding in with Mustafi. Yeah. You're playing Gibbs at left back. You got El Neni and
obviously Ospina's in goal, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you give Lucas a run up front. Ox, I'd play Ox again. I'd probably give Ox a go.
Even Giroud could be
it won't be. Ox on the right, it won't be on the left, and Ramsey at 10. And as much as I think, I'd hate for that team to be a little bit disjointed and then get caught out by Basel and, we draw or lose the game because of the fact that the guys have gone out there, travelled out there, and it's not great for them. But at the end of the day, I'm sure that we can kind of all see how rotation in a game like this, no accusations of being a hypocrite over last week, a game like this that is a dead rubber, already qualified in second, is key to trying to maintain a Premiership challenge.
I think fans, I'm one of them, but I think fans, when you're booking the sixth game, you know that there's a risk of a lot of rotation and stuff. And I think fans understand now. It's not, you go to a lot of games, you kind of, it's a bigger picture. So for me, I'll be happy to have the big players rested despite paying money and going out there because it's a bigger picture. I want to win that Premier League. I really want to win that Premier League. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean there can't be many players playing in the second division of the Dutch league who've played for Arsenal in the Champions League, but there is one. Answers on a postcard.
Is it Quincy?
No.
No, he's in the Eredivisie, isn't he?
Yeah.
No. Is it? What was his name? Is it Barazite?
No.
Oh.
Give up?
Yeah. Wait, I'll let Akhil have a go because I haven't.
Well, I've been thinking as you've been saying it. Gone.
Stefan O'Connor.
I wouldn't have got that. Fair enough.
Well, Akhil, you're going out there. Hopefully you got your gloves and everything all ready.
Weather looks all right, actually.
It doesn't look too bad, actually. Yeah, it gets chilly at night. Obviously, they're an hour ahead, so the game will be at 8:45. But generally, during the day, it doesn't look too bad. It actually looks similar to here. So, yeah.
Do they have Bovril out there? Keep you warm?
Bovril, mate, I'll tell you what.
Got a Swiss for
I'm sure much beer shall be drunk.
Yeah. Well, at their prices, not as much as I would like, but yeah, we'll
always find an offie, mate.
Yeah.
Liquid dinner it is then.
Of course. Always. I let alone there.
Yeah. Fair play. But no, if you're going to predict, obviously, lots of changes. What do you think for a scoreline? Bad to press you.
Absolutely no idea at all, to be fair. I really don't know. They're quite good at home as well, actually. So I always think of Basel as beating Man United, beating Liverpool at home.
Are they guaranteed Europa? Or is it still in the mix?
I think it's still in the mix.
Right, so they'll be going for it then, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Just in case they can get to play Spurs in front of 20,000 people at Wembley. I think a draw. I'll go a draw 2-2.
Yeah, I was going to say a score draw as well, actually. So either a 1-1 or a 2-2, potentially even a Basel win.
I'll take the bullet and be the eternal optimist or eternal twat and go 3-0.
Yeah.
What, to us?
Yeah, of course. Oh, yeah, gotcha.
All right, wow. Well, yeah, because Basel and Ludogorets have only got 2 points each, so yeah, it's very much up for grabs, and they know that any sort of a result will probably see them kind of in the Europa League.
Ludogorets must have shipped a lot more goals than Basel.
Well, yeah, they have. Yeah, so it comes down to head though, doesn't it? So
right,
it's first, and then it's.
So was that two? They had 2 draws.
So they're both drawn to each other, obviously. Presume so. Yeah, interesting.
Boring bastards. And who do we fancy? I fancy Atletico.
Benfica top in their group, aren't they?
Atletico for the glory, Benfica for a nice trip and a chance of winning.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Take whoever, didn't you? I'll have whoever. Bring them on.
Yeah.
Let's
That means Barcelona.
Let's have some fun.
It's near, but Barcelona. Come on.
Yeah, you never know, though. You just never know.
Anyone but Barcelona. I've had enough of that city.
Exactly.
It's fine, by the way, just in case we got any Spanish people listening. I love Barcelona as a city. I love it on a non-match day, but when Arsenal were there and you're sitting in the away end right at the top with rain coming on you, it's not cool, man. It's not cool. So, yeah. Love Barca. Just saying.
Well, I'll wrap it up there. So thank you very much, Akhil and Mark.
No problems,
mate.
Cheers for that, and thanks for listening, everybody. Stay subscribing. If you listen to the first time, please subscribe. Leave iTunes comments. We like them. We're on Stitcher and pretty much everywhere now, aren't we? We've got I saw the old Snapchats were popping yesterday.
Yeah,
I was loving that. Yeah, I was loving that. The Insta's popping. So
that's me as well.
Just wherever there is. But have we got a Tinder profile yet? I'll take that one on.
You, mate.
I'll take that one on. Yeah. Hey, what I do at the weekend's nothing to do with you, Mark, all right?
We're a multi-aspect.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We're big on diversity too. That's why I'm here. But
yeah, no worries. Well,
okay.
On that note, thanks for listening, everybody, and take care. And Akhil, I'm guessing you, Clive, and Giles will be back Thursday, maybe? When?
Well, I probably won't be. I'm only getting back from Basel.
Oh, Christ, yes.
I've got my Christmas party on Thursday, so...
Might be me again.
Might be Mark again.
Might be me. Me, Woz and Clive and Giles.
Woz will be itching. Woz would have listened to this and he would have wrote down notes in his little notepad about where we've
Woz will be talking us through why Ramsey should be winning the Ballon d'Or.
Giles is going to have to do his best. Mills Lane, isn't he, to keep Clive and...
In fact, I'm not sure
going away. It's going to be great.
Do you know Kev, Welsh Gooner, Kev?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got the Welsh Messi number 16 from the other year, and he's also got Ballon d'Or number 16 on the back of his shirts. So yeah,
you're going to have to get him on.
A man with more money than sense.
Him and Woz would get on, wouldn't they?
They probably would, yes. Was the honorary Welshman.
Yeah.
No worries. Well, thanks again, everyone, and take care. We'll probably be back again soon. Thank you.
Arsenal.
Do you require any graphic design work done? A North London agency full of Gooners. Oh, and one lonely Watford fan. We'll be happy to help. Go to www.stonecreativedesign.com and mention Gooner Ramble for a 10% discount on your first project.